What's up guys, Jimmy Chang here with Andrew. We're just out exploring, and when you are out exploring on your personal electric vehicles, you want something that can tackle all sorts of terrain. We have a new e-bike from Ride1Up called the Rift, a fat tire rugged beast.
48 volt, 20 amp hour battery, speeds up to 28 miles per hour, and the ability to carry a passenger, which is pretty sweet.
So because this is such a big e-bike, it's heavy and rugged, it came to us and the box was pretty beat up. But because it was packaged so well, everything was still in the box, and the bike only suffered some minor cosmetic injury.
And Ride1Up did offer to send us a replacement bike, but we figured since this is a fat tire e-bike, we're gonna run it through the woods anyways.
Yeah, so this will just make it so that we don't feel as bad when we scratch it up ourselves. The setup was smooth, straightforward, didn't have any problems. You don't need to have something like this park tool that we're using, but we just do so many of these unboxings. This park tool makes things so much easier. We've got the bike all set up now. Now all we have to do is put on this accessory that we have from Ride1Up.
This passenger kit should be the exact same thing that we saw on the Ride1Up Cafe Cruiser. Nice seat, some pegs, all the hardware, plastic guards to prevent the passenger's feet from getting caught in the chains and spokes.
As opposed to other rear racks, which are just accessories that are screwed or bolted on, this rear rack here is actually welded onto the frame, making it a lot more sturdy and then able to carry more weight.
And it comes with this nice bungee strap, but we're gonna take this off to put the passenger seat on. A really sweet thing about this passenger seat is it just pops right on. Slide that in there, locks into place. Easy peasy.
So now that we have it all set up, let's do a walkthrough from top to bottom.
Let's start with the left side. We've got a hydraulic brake lever throttle, which works in pedal assist 0 through pedal assist 5, which is sweet. Color display. Moving to the right, we have an 8-speed Shimano shifter. That's a thumb and trigger shifter. Another hydraulic brake lever. In the front, we have 120 millimeters of suspension travel with hydraulic lockout. Plastic fenders. A light that works well, but not super bright. 26 by 4-inch fat knobby tires. These are some of the best brakes we've seen on an e-bike. 4-piston hydraulic brake levers with the ability to look at how much hydraulic oil is in there. 180 millimeter brake disc. This is one of the few fat tire e-bikes we've seen with 4-piston hydraulic brakes. A lot of these budget e-bikes come with 2-piston hydraulic brakes.
The importance of the 4-piston hydraulic brakes is this bike is big, it's heavy, and the capacity is large, especially when you have the passenger kit and you're carrying 2 people.
Moving down the frame, we have a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery, which is 960 watt hours. Really big for a fat tire e-bike. Coming to the center, it looks like there's a mid-drive motor in here, but it's actually a hub drive motor. This is just where the controller is stored because there's just such a big battery in here. Metal pedals, plastic fender in the rear. And we did add this passenger seat package on here. This is $125, but totally worth it for us so you can carry a passenger with you. You can carry 2 adults because this rear rack is built into the frame.
And the passenger kit installation, super simple. You get the seat clear guards, and then it also has these pegs.
My favorite part about this kit is how quickly this seat comes off. Just a slide action, really intuitive design. And then to pop it back on, just slide it in, goes right on.
So super handy, especially if you're switching between passenger and having to carry cargo in the back.
Moving underneath the passenger kit, we have another 26 by 4-inch Kenda Crusade tire, which is an anti-puncture tire, just like the front. In the center of this tire is a sustained 750 watt motor with 95 Newton meters of torque. Another 180 millimeter brake disc with 4-piston hydraulic brakes. And then on the other side is a Shimano Altus derailleur. In the rear we have a light. And one other thing that I forgot to mention is this is a nice comfy seat. My butt will appreciate that.
At our next stop, we'll talk about the things that we love about this bike. It is spring in Colorado, and what that means is it could be 80 degrees and beautiful one day, and it could be 30 degrees blizzard the next day. That's why a fat tire e-bike like this is so compelling, because you can take it on different types of terrain. You can go streets, off-road, snow, mud. It was a little muddy back there where we just were, but the fat tires will give you the confidence to be able to blaze the trails that you need to go. Let's talk about the things that we love best about this e-bike.
I love the brakes on this bike. Super powerful 4-piston hydraulic brakes. 20! That's really good. With 4-piston hydraulic brakes, this thing stopped pretty quick.
So this display is actually really nice. We are in direct sunlight right now and you can read it pretty darn good. very impressed with this new color display. Looks sharp.
Really, the comfy seat, I love that about this bike. A lot of these bikes come with very cheap, hard seats. This one is soft and plush for me. The battery is really big for a fat tire e-bike. Coming at 20 amp hours, 960 watt hours, plenty for you to go on long rides. Ride1Up claims this to have up to 60 miles worth of range. You're realistically gonna get more like 35 to 40 miles of range, but still pretty impressive for a fat tire e-bike. The ability to add in a passenger seat onto the built-in rack. This is the first fat tire e-bike we've ever seen with a built-in rack and the ability to add a passenger. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 deal here with this bike.
And you can see how sturdy the rack is, welded directly to the frame, and so that'll give you the confidence you need to carry your passenger in back. And what was the total load capacity for this?
350 pounds. The thing about this bike is you can grow with it with your family. So if you have a little toddler, your toddler seat will snap right into place. Then as they grow older, you can have them sitting on this seat. You can even have your significant other or your date on this bike.
And you guys probably can't see this, but we are standing in some water right now. There's a big rain/snowstorm last night. The snow's all melted off, but that has filled up our reservoirs and our ponds. Riding in wet conditions though is not a concern with this bike. Why is that?
It's got an IP65 water resistance rating, which should handle light streams of water from all directions. The suspension on this bike is excellent, 120 millimeters of travel, and it doesn't give you that like springy noise that you get from a lot of these other fat tire e-bikes. Most of these budget-friendly fat tire e-bikes sound really weird when you go off of curbs or jumps, where they get kind of that boing noise, where this one sounds rock solid.
In addition, something that I think should be standard on these types of bikes where you're going to be taking it off-road and going on adventures is puncture resistance. And here you can see that these are puncture resistant tires. That can help you know that you won't have to worry as much about getting a flat while on the road. Even though the fenders are made of plastic, they fit really nicely, there's no rubbing, and they do a good job with the debris. We've been on some of these trails kicking up some dirt and some rocks and some mud. The fenders have done a great job.
And last but not least, one of my favorite features of this bike is that it allows you to throttle in all pedal assist levels. A lot of these e-bikes, I don't know why they only allow you to throttle in pedal assist 0. Sometimes when I'm at the bottom of a hill and I want to get going, it's nice to be able to throttle at any moment, at any gear.
So those are the things that we love about this e-bike, the Rift by Ride1Up. We're going to keep riding. At our next stop, we're going to talk about the things that we hate about this bike. Okay, we got a little wet there, but let's see if Andrew got wet.
A little wet, but not really too bad.
Let's see the back. The back is the test.
How's the back?
Oh, completely dry.
Hey, that's a good fender.
Good fender. It is a little marshy out here today, but the bike and the fenders are keeping us dry. We're here and we're going to talk about the things that we don't like about the Rift.
When you go through the different pedal assist levels, 1 through 2 through 3, there's a slight delay. And if you've never ridden an e-bike in the past, you probably won't ever notice it, but because I've tested so many, it takes about a half a second for it to catch up going between the different speed levels. So as I'm going and I go to 2, it just doesn't immediately react. The cadence sensor on this bike is fine when you go to pedal, but as soon as you stop pedaling, there is a slight runoff. Not as bad as we felt with other cadence sensors in the past, just a slight runoff that I have to knock it on this bike. They do use a little bit chunkier welds, but overall it adds to this industrial look that Ride1Up bikes have.
And I'm gonna get a little nitpicky here, but when we are out on the trails, out exploring, before you know it, the sun is setting and it's getting dark. I feel like the light could be better. This light here is good to help you be seen, but it doesn't really illuminate the trails, so I'd recommend a third-party light. Other thing too is, we're on these trails, there are a lot of pedestrians, other cyclists, and it would be nice to have a bell or some sort of horn. But again, you can get a third party, easily attach that. We're gonna keep riding, and while we ride, let's talk about who we think should get this bike. All right, so we've shown you just about everything there is about this, the Rift by Ride1Up. There's one thing though that we have not tested on camera, and that is the passenger kit. We're just gonna pull over here. All right, electric unicycle, don't go anywhere, because I'm gonna be riding back here. Okay, so a couple things. I wish there was a handle.
I don't. Jimmy gets to hold on to me.
Pegs. We've got this to protect me from water. You've seen how watery, how wet it is out today. So that'll protect my legs from the water. It'll also protect my clothing from getting sucked in there. One thing I know is this is a tall bike.
Oh.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm barely on my tippy toes. Here we go. Nice and comfy. The seat feels great. Holding on to Andrew's waist doesn't feel as great, but it's okay. It's 2023. So a couple things. Andrew's heel is hitting my toes if my toes are scooted up too forward. The positioning is a little tight.
Yeah, but it's really not too bad. For me, a lot of times these passenger e-bikes feel sometimes awkward with someone behind me, but the weight distribution on this bike feels solid.
Sometimes I feel too short. The rear passenger will feel too short, like I'm staring directly into Andrew's back. But here I can look over his shoulder because I'm higher up. With the welded in rack, it feels solid. It does not feel wobbly or unsafe. Who do you think should get this bike? What do you think, Andrew?
For me, it's the person who wants an adventure e-bike with a +1.
For me, I think this is, if you're looking for an all-terrain fat tire e-bike that won't break the bank, well constructed, good components, check this out. Thanks for watching, you guys. Check out our full written review at ebikepedia.com, and when you guys ride, wear your safety gear.